Little introduction. We're going to do today's podcast in English to address a broader audience, but also for your friends in Tanzania so they can follow what you talk about.
Yes.
Because we're going to talk about the violence that is happening in Tanzania right now. More than 1,000 people are being killed during protests regarding the elections of Tanzania.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add or say in Swahili maybe to your friends before you start the podcast?
Maybe to add on the introduction that you already gave. I think it was quite solid, but it is about the President Samia, and she ran for the second term of her presidential function, and a lot of people were protesting, and we will dive into that more broadly later in this podcast, but maybe that's a good addition to the introduction.
One more addition is that the podcast is being recorded on the 5th of November 2025. The situation is still unstable, I don't know how to address it, but things are still happening, so tomorrow a lot can be different from what we talk about today.
Yes. And also how it's covered in the news, if there would be any, so that's why
right
we're
now
also
recording this
podcast. Should we also introduce ourselves, because we haven't said our names?
No, that's a good one. You can start.
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Laura Molsbergen. I'm 31 years old.
Yesterday it was her birthday.
Yeah, and that's why I also felt like I wanted to do something with the news that's happening in Tanzania, because Tanzania is my second home country. We will dive into that later in the podcast as well. But yeah, being a birthday girl, but also seeing a lot of your friends so heartbroken, and friends of my friends being killed in a country that you love so much.
Hard.
That's hard, and I just wanted to do something with that in the birthday days that don't feel like celebrating, but more like sharing the stories that need to be told.
Yeah. Well, my name is Yalou van der Heijden. I'm 29 years old, and I didn't know anything about the situation, so I'm very glad is not the best word, but thankful. I'm thankful that you told me more about this, and that we could talk about this. I think that's all the introduction. Let's go to the podcast.
Yes, let's
time for
do
the jingle.
It. Yes.
That's in Dutch, but still very cool.
Yeah.
Wie heeft gelijk?
Wat is de waarheid?
Wat accepteren we van onszelf en van de ander?
En wat niet? Welkom bij Dat Hangt Er Vanaf. De podcast waarin we onze blik bevragen. Een ontdekkingsreis door onze eigen waarheden. Klaar om verder ontwikkeld te worden.
Ik ben Yalou.
En ik ben Laura.
2 visueel antropologen met een liefde voor het vertellen van verhalen en een kritische blik op het perspectief.
Want dat je iets ziet, betekent nog niet dat je het begrijpt.
En of je het mag vertellen?
Dat hangt er vanaf.
Okay, Laura, today we're gonna talk about something that's close to your heart.
Yes, yeah, it's gonna be about the current political situation in Tanzania, caused by the political elections that happened past few days.
Yeah. But before we dive into that, we're going to do a little introduction, because this is going to be different than what we planned.
Yeah.
Because we planned to do our first 2 episodes about your research, my research, to let the audience get to know us a bit. And even what we're going to do. So this the whole podcast is about visual anthropology and making it more accessible, and share our view and opinions about certain situations. Yeah. We started with our research, and your research was in Tanzania, and that's why what's happening now is affecting you as well. So before we start talking about what's happening now, can you share a bit about your connection with the country, your research, we're gonna dive into your research in another episode as well, but just briefly. A little bit, briefly.
Yeah, that's fine. So in 2020, I went for my master's studies on a 3-month research, and I did that in Arusha, Tanzania. And that was not the first time I went there. It was like the third time. And I did research on the political influences, actually.
That's
Wow.
okay. It's 2020 is a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's okay. You did research on the political situation.
Yeah, but like all the influences.
Okay.
So not only the current political situation, which was mostly like new liberalism, but also the post-colonial influences and post-socialist influences.
Okay.
And therefore, it's also close to my heart what is happening right now, because back then I was really working closely together with the dancers of the Via Via community in Arusha. And I basically researched how political influences affected their dance practice on a daily basis.
Yes.
And right now we are in a situation where the political situation is like, well, for my feeling, it has turned like 360 degrees. Also since the moment that I did my research.
Okay.
And it has such a long history, and to see how people are affected by it right now and like what is happening, that is really like devastating. And it's
And before we started recording this, you
Yeah.
mentioned that you didn't want to be seen as the expert of the situation.
Yeah.
However, between the two of us, you are definitely the expert, because I have no clue what's happening. I heard this through you actually, and through your friends in Tanzania, because there's nothing on the news right now.
Well,
in the
barely.
Dutch news, like you really have to search for it.
Yeah.
And perhaps there's something.
Yeah.
But so the topics we're gonna address today are one, what's happening. If you would like to share also what's happening to your friends.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do that from, of course, visual anthropology background. So we're gonna involve like the media and especially social media on what is shown and what isn't.
Yeah.
Like, please explain to me what is happening right now, and what do I need to know?
Yeah, because I just told you like a little tip of the iceberg of my research. In the time of my research, that was like the third time that I went to Tanzania. But in between 2020 and the current day, I think I've been there 12 times now.
Okay.
And I've seen like the country and its people like changing also in terms of political perspectives. So what happened is that in 2020, there was still the president, the former president, and his name was Magufuli. And Magufuli, I believe, and also a lot of Tanzanians believe, that he was really like the father of the nation.
Okay.
He was really seen as someone who had his heart for the people, and everything he did in terms of politics, in terms of making changes, everything was done for the people. Instead of now with Samia Hassan, she is the first women leader in Tanzania. She was from the same political party as Magufuli was.
And he had to go? Or
No.
like after certain years he had to leave? Or like why isn't he, if he's so famous or respected?
Good question.
Did he leave?
That is an unsure topic.
Okay.
And that's also something that is hasn't been talked about a lot. There are some theories that he died because of Corona. But
he's not alive anymore. Okay.
Yeah, he died. Some said he had a heart attack. Some said he died because of Corona. But it is also a suspicious case.
Okay.
And it comes with a lot of emotions from the people itself as well.
Yeah.
And it's hard because during Corona times, he was really like, in Tanzania, we don't need vaccinations, we don't need any medicines, we don't need to fight against Corona. God will help us. fighting this disease. So when the hospitals overflooded, there was some, discrepancy between people who still believed him and people who thought like, okay, maybe there is corona in our country and we have to actually do something with it with the vaccinations or by other medical solutions. So that was a little bit of a tricky time. And because that was a tricky time, new elections, there was also like a little bit suspicious about.
But the elections were after he died.
Well, I thought that there was gonna be elections, but I think because Samia was from the same party as Magufuli, she was just chosen because she was the vice president.
Okay.
And because he died, she got his place. I think it happened like this, but don't pin me down on it.
Okay, so that's how Samia is in power right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Recently there were new elections of her, like, how do you say that, like, extend her being president. Yeah. Or someone else taking over. Yeah. Can you tell us what happened there?
Yeah, so the elections were like last week. And I already had a feeling that it would be a tricky time because it was already a tricky time during the elections of Magufuli, because Magufuli was in place for, I think, third term, 3 terms or 2 terms.
Is there like a maximum amount of terms that the president can? Okay.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Sidetracking from the story, what's happening now.
And when he was doing the elections again, there were already a lot of speculations that it was not a fair process.
Back then?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, when he got his second or third term. And that was because a lot of people said, I don't know how you say it in English, but there was gesjoemeld with the votes.
Yeah, like it was shady and people mixed up votes and things like that.
Yeah, exactly, with like counting the votes, but also...
Was there evidence for it?
I'm not sure, not sure. Yeah. But the same thing people felt when there would be elections for Samia again.
Yeah. So last week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what happened actually was that a lot of people wanted to protest, also because Samia made it happen that her opponents disappeared.
Okay.
Physically. So like the opponents that were there, I felt like on social media and like the friends that I talked to actually wanted Samia to lose and so the opponent to win. So it was really shady to hear and also painful that her actual opponents, political opponents, disappeared.
Do we know what happened to them, or
no?
They just gone?
Yeah, and in what kind of way, I have no idea.
And did Samia like address the situation?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Yeah. And that is also part of the point here. That is a central point of the problem, because since Samia came into power, it was already a little bit during the time of Magufuli, but since Samia came into power, the press freedom has really reduced.
Okay.
Like whenever there is something that happens involving the government, maybe like shady things or decisions that are made, they are really not shown on social media or like the television. It's really hard for foreign journalists to enter and to actually make a publication that like sheds a light on the truth.
Yeah.
What the truth may be, but And I also found this when I looked on my social media this morning, because there was an actual message of The Citizen Tanzania, which is like a big broadcast journalism platform. And it's always there to shed light on certain topics. And there wasn't, good to know, there was an internet blockage.
Yeah. Because maybe like a little bit background, you speak the language fluently.
Not like fluently, but
good enough. Like you have daily conversations with your friends back in Tanzania in Swahili.
Yeah.
And so you also follow the news in the local language.
But this message was actually in English.
Okay.
Because I haven't seen a broadcast news channel that has published anything about what has happened in Swahili.
That's also interesting.
Yeah, but maybe that's just because I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it is there, but it hasn't come to my eye yet. But The Citizen Tanzania, what they sometimes do is they publish it in both languages, so English and then in Swahili translations underneath. And what they basically said was, we're so sorry that we haven't covered any news yet. We know that it has been a really tough time, and we hope everyone can move forward from these losses and from these tough days.
Maybe we have to back up a little bit, because we haven't addressed what actually happened.
That's true.
You mentioned that over 1,000 people are killed during the protest, that police shot with how do you say that, like live ammunition, right?
With guns.
Like not rubber bullets, but like actually killed people. Yeah. Also, who didn't have anything to do with the protest, were just in their home.
Yes.
And it's like really shocking times right now for the people in Tanzania.
Yeah.
What is happening and how to address what is happening, because that's also not safe. No. A lot of your friends in Tanzania asked you to share things on social media because they are afraid for repercussions.
Yes.
How do you say that?
Yeah.
So maybe we can repercussions. My English. Maybe we can back up a little bit and so the elections were, Samia was re-elected.
Yes.
After that, were there any opponents left?
No.
So
every opponent.
So there wasn't really an election.
No.
It was her.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the people of Tanzania went to protest.
Yes.
They went to the streets.
Yes.
Can you share a bit more about that? Like, how did the protest start? Why did people protest? And what happened during the protests?
Yeah. So I think the protest didn't only start because the whole election was unfair. There are for a long time there are already sentiments that Samia is not good for the country. So whereas Magufuli is really seen as the father of the nation, and people were like devastated when he died because it really felt like their father, even though it was like the president, but to them it was like really a father figure. It is different with Samia, and that has a lot to do with the foreign connections that she has built over the years, specifically with the US. And that's something that people have complained about. And I heard that as well in conversations, that they feel like Samia is not here to actually improve the situation of its people. And whereas with Magufuli, they had the feeling that Tanzania would improve as a nation and it would benefit all its citizens. With Samia, it's more about the foreign relationships and to keep them friendly and to not specifically benefit the Tanzanian people. And that has to do with things like electricity, but also just poverty in general, and also infrastructure and like building up the cities like Dar es Salaam. They feel like what Magufuli did in the first place to really build the villages, the cities, and also the feeling of ujamaa, and that's like the socialism feeling between its people. Samia is not building on that.
Even though they're from the same party.
Exactly.
They share the same values in general.
Yeah. And that has everything to do with, as I said, the foreign influence. So they feel like it's not in Tanzania own hands to build the country, but there is a lot of foreign influence and it doesn't do the country any good. So that's good to know about the background of why people would go to the streets. Yeah. And of course, a big deal is about the process of the elections, because they just declared, or Samia just declared, like, yeah, I don't have any opponents, and I got like, I think she said she got like 98% of all the votes. But based on what? Yeah, so that's why
I want to vote on.
Yeah, okay, exactly. Yeah. And I know a lot of people also don't vote in Tanzania because they just feel like there is no point, because she would already be a winner before someone could vote, or before.
But that was also the sentiment that they brought to the streets.
Yes,
and to protest.
Exactly.
Are there friends of you who participated in the protests that you spoke to?
Not that I spoke to, but that I've heard about from other people.
Yes.
And what I heard was, that the police was so brutal. Like, I can imagine also when we are in the Netherlands and there is a big protest, that there is a lot of police on the streets just to make sure that safety is guaranteed, and just that it doesn't get out of hand. Yeah. Maybe. I'm also not in favor of police in the Netherlands, but
the protests in the Netherlands are not really cool, but when we compare it to what happened in Tanzania right now, we have nothing to complain about.
Exactly. So from that point of view, I'm just always thinking like, okay, if there's any police, fine, let's deal with it, At least then you have people that want to protest, and then you make space for them to protest, right? But in Tanzania, that was just not possible. And it was over a couple of days that these protests were happening. And it was over a couple of days that the anger from policemen, but also like the forces and like the violence, that increased.
And this was this was after the elections, or during the election, after the elections, but also during a power blockage. So there was no internet.
Exactly.
You didn't speak to your friends for a week because there was no way to reach them.
Exactly. It was like Monday, and then I heard from some people that they got a little bit of internet again. And they told me like, I've heard from friends that were killed on the streets. And I was like, what the fuck? Sorry for my language. And yesterday there were more people that got access to the internet again. And then they told me like, there was a friend of mine, and she has a neighbor, and she was just standing in front of her door and she was shot. So it was not just only the protesters that were killed brutally. It was also that they, I think, just wanted to wipe out like people who looked at what was happening. What is the English word again for that? When you look at a situation,
you look at the situation.
It doesn't matter.
Like
but
you're a bystander?
Yeah, bystander. Exactly. So people who were just standing in front of their houses. One friend also told me that the police went into their houses and actually just caught people, maybe protesters that were on the streets before and wanted to find shelter, and maybe the police like remembered their faces or something.
Are there people like arrested as well, or?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. A lot of people got arrested as well. But what strikes the most is, of course, the police that just shoots with actual munition.
And right now, like the internet is back since yesterday, and what you know so far is that there are more than 1,000 people killed. Yeah, and maybe even more, because what I read this morning was that the government tries to hide the dead bodies. So that's why on the internet as well, there is a social media account. And that social media account actually shows the dead bodies and also the shootings when it happens. Because there is no social media coverage on it. And every social media account that's been created has been turned down by the government, has been removed. And also the people itself, what you said in the beginning, they are really afraid to open up about it because they don't know what will happen. Yeah. So that's why you are like a spokesperson.
I try to. Yeah. So I just asked some people like, hey, can you send me any message that you've seen that you think like is really relevant and is necessary to spread across social media, please send it to me because I can actually post it. So people did that and also shared a little bit of their stories with me. And also that social media accounts with like, the horrible videos.
And then how, because there is no official news outlet in Tanzania right now or from foreign countries about this topic, but all the information comes from social media accounts. How do you verify?
Not all.
Okay.
Because when I Google like elections Tanzania, then there are some
There's some coverage.
Like maybe 5 articles in the Netherlands over the past few days by different news channels, but they are all about the same thing. It's just that there was chaos.
Yeah.
And that's also the title of most of the headlines. Yeah.
And then, like, to spiral back to social media and the influence of social media, because you use it to have contact with your friends, but the Tanzanian people also use it to like spread what is happening. Little sidetrack in Gaza, we also see the power of social media in what is happening in conflicts. How do you think? I'm not sure actually what my question is, but how do you think the social media can help in maybe restoring or like figuring out the democratic way within Tanzanian elections?
I'm not sure about that. Also because what we haven't spoken about yet is how the US influence on Tanzania in terms of aid has decreased.
Since Samia is in power, or
it has been like there is a tendency, and it also has to do with the whole United States of America, like how are they viewing the world and their own position. I don't know when it actually started.
Okay.
But there is a tendency within East Africa, not only Tanzania, but also Kenya and Uganda, where they feel like because they get less Western aid, they don't necessarily need to hold the democratic values that are expected from you as a president when you work together with
Western aid.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why what we've seen a little bit in those 3 countries is more like an autocratic stance and not necessarily a democratic one.
And can you explain a bit what is autocratic stance?
More that in a democratic nation, you feel like the people actually have a vote.
Yep.
So when it comes to voting, your vote is counted. And there is more press freedom to actually share the story of what is happening. But in those 3 countries, we really see, also in Kenya, there has been brutal police violence whenever there was a protest against the government. And it's all shadowed. It's not covered by any news. And the governments don't let in any journalists to talk about it freely. So it's really that tendency towards less coverage, more shadowing of what is actually happening and not listening to what the people need and want, and just operating from that autocratic position.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's happening right now in Tanzania as well.
Yeah, exactly. So to come back to your question, if social media helps with maybe going to a democratic
because like on paper it is a democratic country with elections to vote for a president and freedom of press, freedom of expression.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, okay. But over the years she has just made it happen that it has become really difficult for journalists and in terms of press freedom to do any coverage on political situations.
And maybe that's also interesting to spiral back to your own research back in 2020. Even then, it was hard for you to come there, like even to get your camera in the country. I remember that it was a big, like, it wasn't easy to get there, and
Definitely.
you definitely didn't tell what you were doing. You were there as a tourist, but you were actually doing research, and so even back then it was hard to...
Yes, even under Magufuli, there was a little bit more press freedom, but not like what you expect from a democratic country. Yeah.
I run out of questions right now. I'm just digesting what is happening, because it's a lot of information, and
maybe because I haven't explained this in detail yet, and what I would like to address is why it is so important for, I think, Tanzanian people to have a say and have a vote, because since
1960,
that was like the period when they became independent from the British, and the German have also ruled there. And since 1960, Julius Nyerere was in power. And he actually built a foundation of what is called socialism and Ujamaa. And Ujamaa really stands for we are united. Whatever we do in economics, in living together, we do it as one. There's no individual. There's like, we do it as a community.
Yeah.
And that is something that you just have to go to Tanzania, but when you meet the people there, then you experience that, you feel that.
Ujamaa.
Yes, and it has also something to do with the more than, I think it was 120 tribes that live peacefully together. And there is no other country where
so many people from different tribes live together.
Yes, and I can quote something from my documentary, because there was one dancer and he said, a Chaga can marry...
that's one of the
tribes.
That's
one of the tribes. When you are from the Chaga tribe, then you are called that as well. Yeah. Sometimes people refer to that with their tribe name. A Chaga can marry a Chaga, but a Chaga can also marry a Mzungu. And Mzungu is a white person. Yeah. And Mzungu can also marry someone from the Iringa tribe. So there is no differentiation between the people.
Yes.
And that's something they always hold on to. And I really felt that as well. And that's why I have been back to Tanzania so many times, because that's the kind of feeling that we don't have in the Netherlands. That kind of community and that kind of togetherness and helping each other.
And that kind of togetherness that's still there, like after all these years and different political influences, they're still hold to, I want to say the word now.
Ujamaa,
thank you.
Yes, and under Magufuli, people actually felt that it was not only between their communities, between the people itself, but also backed by a political party that stood by the values of Ujamaa.
And now the same political party is actually turning against it by shooting people.
Yeah. And already, like, the political party that we talk about is the CCM. And in times of Julius Nyerere, the CCM was really all about the social democratic values. But
so since its independence, the same political party is the ruler of the country.
Yeah. Yeah. And since Magufuli, it already changed a little bit, because it went from social democratic more to a free market position. But still with the social democratic values like Ujamaa, but more like intertwined. Yeah. And then with Samia, I feel, and I think also the people feel, that it became like from social democratic all until the other side of the political sphere, more like the free market values. Right now, I understand your question about with more social media coverage and like telling about what's happening, could there be a switch in like the political environment of Samia? But I'm not sure, if I'm really honest.
And how do you like check or differentiate between what is shared on social media, whether it's true or not? Like, how do you navigate in that? Because there's also like throughout the world like so much crap on social media, so many things with AI now as well. So it's being harder and harder for journalists to actually tell the truth.
Yes, but that's why I keep it close to me, and I base also this podcast on what I hear from my friends, because they haven't had access to the internet. So no way they could lie about what they experienced.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And what is interesting is that, for example, with some big artists in Tanzania or like big influencers, they were really or highly positive about Samia and even congratulated her on social media. But there are some friends that told me like, yeah, don't believe that, and she just paid those people to say those things. And then I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to believe, but yeah, it can be true. So let's just cover that as well, just to let everybody's voice be heard. And also what I heard is that she made an excuse for killing people in Tanzania by saying that this also happens in Kenya, like what we've discussed before. And she doesn't want the same situation that is happening in Kenya with like all the tumor and like the disruptance in the country. She doesn't want that for Tanzania. So that's why she had to use the brutal violence. That is what is spreading.
It's not my logic, but...
No, exactly. But that is something that's spreading as well.
Yeah.
In terms of what is being heard on social media and what is being shown. So there are so many different stories that are circling around. And I'm like, just look at your own people and what your police is doing to them. Like, if you want to rule a country that is all about surviving together and actually wanting to improve their own situations and that of the country, then why are you doing it like this? You only get more opponents.
And your friends, what do they need right now?
Oof, yeah. That's also a really hard question. Because I think a lot of them are just busy really like moving dead bodies in the streets. Like, if someone from your family is shot, then it's not like in the Netherlands that you can bury them in a respectful way. There is no such thing. So I think, yeah, it would be really helpful if there would be a place that they could remember them. I think they will do that, like, within the community.
Yeah.
And
but
also...
right now the first priority is to actually get the bodies in safety without being harmed.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the second thing is what people forget as well, because there was a long internet blockage and there was no way also to get electricity or internet. A lot of businesses weren't able to get their income. So for almost a week, there were businesses, people who live from their day-to-day earnings, who didn't even have bread to eat, so to share with their families.
In multiple ways.
Yes, and that's something, of course, what has been done by the police and like the people died, that's number one, of course. But the second thing is the actual people that didn't get any food from their businesses because there was no way, going on the streets. That was just too dangerous.
And is it safer now, or like Because
yesterday
we're taking the podcast on what is it, the 5th of November?
So
things will change within those days.
I hope
in
so.
a positive way, I hope.
I hope so. But for example, yesterday I was talking to a girl, and where she lives, there were gunshots heard like every day, and they were still there, and like tear gas. So she also said, like, yeah, it's still not safe to go out because it's still happening. Maybe on a smaller frequency, but it's still happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything you want to add? What we didn't talk about yet?
That I just hope that when my friends see this, that I did justice to what is happening. And if I said anything like incorrectly or something that you felt like I didn't have any right to say, then just tell me, just message me, because I want to learn from that as well. And as we said in the beginning, I'm not like,
you're the
an
expert of the two of us, but not on the whole situation.
Yeah, it's just something that I felt like was right to do, also because so many of them shared their stories with me, and I wanted to give it a platform. But also, as you noticed, I don't know the exact story on like the political situation.
But still, you knew a lot, as in, I think, I didn't know anything about Tanzanian political situations and the Tanzanian political. Jesus. And I think that goes for a lot of Dutch people. Mm-hmm. If I'm honest, like, I think it's not something we're familiar with. So thank you for sharing and shedding some light on that. And I hope that your friends and the rest of the country will be safe and that this ends soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah. Kwayo, ikiwa unaangalia hii na wewe ni Tanzania, nataka kukushukuru sana kuni-update na habari zako, labda habari zako za siri, na ulikuwa na uguvu sana kushiriki hii na mimi. Kwa asanteni sana, na natumai nimeongea ukweli au nimeongea kitu ambacho unahisi ni vizuri kushiriki na dunia. Asanteni sana.
I have no clue what to add. How do I say thank you, Miss Maggie?
Asante.
Asante.
Dankjewel voor het luisteren naar Dat Hangt Er Vanaf.
Vond je deze podcast interessant? Abonneer je dan op ons Spotify-kanaal en volg ons op Instagram.
Tot de volgende keer!